All right, shalom, everyone. Shalom, shalom. I don't like this lighting. Let me see if I can fix it. It still looks weird. Hold on. I've got a new setup, I guess. Different setup. And I didn't really check it first, so y'all are getting a little bit of the stuff. I really don't like the way this light looks. I don't want to look crazy. Which direction this thing coming from? Hold on, let's see. Oh, all right. That should be better. Whoa. Oops. All right. This is better. All right. Again, shalom, shalom. I don't know what's going on with my other stream, but it wouldn't let me start my live from here, so I probably did something wrong. I don't know. But shalom, everyone. This is my first live stream of the Gentiles year. And I wanted to discuss a few things. I just want to make sure if my sound is okay. If it's not, just somebody let me know in the chat. I can see it on my phone. I don't have it set up to look at on my thing like I normally would, but I just thought it was really important to discuss this whole issue of the timeline. Shalom, shalom. So here's the thing. We really, it's very imperative that we get on the proper timeline. And I see what everybody else is talking about. And while I feel like all of the things that people are discussing is important at this time, there's nothing more important than getting on the proper timeline. And the reason that is that the proper timeline will allow you to advance into the next stage. And without getting onto the proper timeline, there's really, no matter what anybody else is doing, I think that it's going to be one of the critical factors for advancing onto the next stage. And I know that there's a lot of people who are putting their beliefs in a lot of different things. And I happen to, I don't necessarily disagree with their things, what they're doing. But the number one thing people have to remember is that you have to do what you're told. Whatever the spirit tells you, that's what's required. And so I know that people are telling people that they have to do this and they have to do that, and all of that is fine and well. But if you're not doing what you're told, what the spirit is telling you to do, that's what you're going to have to answer for. You're not going to have to answer for what some person told you to do that you didn't do. You're going to have to answer for what some spirit, especially the mother, told you to do that you didn't do. And, just to re-emphasize that for me, what we do over here on this channel, my top priority is to not leave no unnecessary pain and no unnecessary death amongst our people. That's my top priority. I also am not willing to leave any children behind. And what I mean by leaving children behind, meaning if I feel like there is a wolf in the midst, I'm not willing to turn my back on the children who don't know better because I have an issue with the wolf. And that is not a task everybody can do. And so I am saying that because I wanted to be perfectly clear what I intend to do, and how I intend to do it. I'm not leaving any unnecessary, I don't want any unnecessary pain, no unnecessary suffering, and I'm not going to let spiritual children be overtaken by the wolves. And that job's not for everybody. But if you don't know this about my story, I will tell you this part. My very first job out of college, I was 22 and I had my daughter. I had just had my daughter, so she was a few months old. So my very first job out of college, I worked in a group home for teen moms, foster care group home for teen moms in Southeast DC. That's my very first real job with my degree. And I was a counselor, assistant case manager, technically. And I worked with those girls for 2 years. And in DC, they emancipated at 21. So many of them were less than a year younger than me. I mean, a lot of them were in their 20s, 19, so on. So they were not that much younger than me. And so I worked there for 2 years. And when I left from out of there, it was because I felt like they weren't doing enough to help the girls. And I went and changed my focus from thinking I'm going to be a social worker to trying to get knowledge on how to help young people get into business. And, that led into a bunch of other stuff. But what happened, that was really the icing on the cake, and I knew I couldn't go back to work. Again, I've told this story before. One of my clients was murdered, brutally murdered, had the same name as me. When she emancipated at 21, they said that she couldn't go with the social worker, who her social worker was, because that would be a conflict of interest. She couldn't come with me. That would be a conflict of interest. So they let her go with some boyfriend she had just been talking to. And what happens is you get an emancipation check. 30 days after you exit out of the system, they give you a check for whatever they saved up for you while you was in the group home. Her check was about $4,000. This man took her money. She was pregnant, carved her baby out of her, left her brutal, not even 5 miles from my house where I live in Maryland, which was like 20 miles, 30 miles from DC. Not something that you can just get to. There's no public transportation. There's no buses. There's no none of that. That girl was targeted. Specifically, I think as a warning to me because she had my name. And as it turned out, her oldest daughter, her father's mother had also been brutally murdered. Brutal. And so I was a witness to that. And so being that I was a witness to that senseless murder, I was there. I saw how the system treated her. And it wasn't people who looked like, it wasn't no white folks. It was not one white person was in the room when they made a determination that they had done everything that they could for this girl. It was all people who looked like us. And I have been saying from the beginning of me being on this channel that the problem is not Gentiles. The problem is not Gentiles. The problem is people who look like us. And I could go into great detail about this, and it would probably raise my blood pressure, so I'm not. But you can't be from where I'm from, right outside of DC, and not have your share of seeing people who look like you tormenting and torturing people who look like you. So people really need to get their mind away from the Gentiles. The Gentiles are going to destroy themselves all on their own. We won't have to get involved in that because, as you can see, they're already doing it. We're not even doing anything, and they're literally already destroying themselves. We haven't even gotten started. Shalom. We haven't even gotten started, and these people are already destroying ourselves. We have to really focus in on what I call the hidden black eye, because if there's a hidden eye, it's black. It's people who look like us. We have to really focus in on them. Now, my counselors, my team, whoever you call them, the wise women who give me counsel and men who give me counsel, we've done a lot of work in the backgrounds, on the sidelines to take out whoever we can, however we can. We have, as you've seen, we went through contracts. That Willie Lynch letter contract was extremely difficult for me to read. And I will say that there's no way that I could have gotten through that on my own. There was definitely my angel, my overself, my whoever, somebody was helping me, because I could have never gotten through reading that thing of my own power. I have never read that before. And there's a certain independent document that I'm not going to draw too much attention to. I had never read, I had never seen. But I realized that there's a particular group of people who, shalom, shalom, who are always fighting against each other. And the reason is due to that document. And so one of the things I want to do is ask people, if you are aware of any documents that we need to cancel, we should, accept for value, we should, and those terms are terms that we should become familiar with, because it's really terms that, like in the Willie Lynch letter, is the terminology of your freedom. You know what I mean? It's not the terminology of it's the terminology your captor uses to keep you captive. And so if you want to gain your freedom, quote unquote, your freedom, you're going to have to learn how to use these terminologies. And so, accepting for value, conditional acceptance, it's a lot of terms like that we really need to become more familiar with. So, again, like I was saying, if there's documents that you guys have read, founding documents, national documents to whatever place, and you just take a peruse on them. If you're from a different place, or you have some like special documents or whatever, take a look at them. Look at it and see if it's a document that needs to be accepted because it's good for us, or if it's a document that needs to be canceled. Because another thing that I'm realizing is they've got these documents embedded everywhere. I mean, there's no way we can go through there's no way I by myself can go through every single Declaration of Independence, all these other documents and find all this stuff. There's just no way I can go through that on my own. And so I am requesting input from, my viewers for these documents. If they see them, some that look like, hey, this looks like it could be a contract, because, oh, shalom, sis. It looks like it could be a contract, but we just don't know whether it is or not. Like, I don't want to go into too much detail on that, because I know that that's going to be a point of contention at some point, because this is what I really got on a live to talk about. Nobody knows what anybody else's job is in the kingdom. And anybody who says they know what somebody else's job is, I'm not saying that they're a liar. I'm just saying that there's no way that you can know for sure what somebody else's job is. Shalom, shalom. They will tell you themselves what their job is. So I shared a video by the sister Shavi Zane, or maybe I didn't share it. Maybe I meant to share it. Anyway, if you go and look on her page, she has a video where she talks about the karmic spiritualist. And it's really time for us to examine ourselves carefully, because between that video and Sister Pat talking about people being super judgmental, we really have to make sure that we are not interfering with someone else's free will. What does that mean, or what would that look like if you're interfering with someone else's free will? Well, let me give you this is how I handled the situation. The day after Christmas, I realized that there was an issue with the Daughters of Zion and our inheritance, and that there were entities that determined themselves to be the true holders of our inheritance, which is the temple, physical temple, and there's a spiritual temple, the temple of us. And I determined that there were entities that were not alone, with the team. We determined there were entities that had decided they were in ownership of our temples, our physical temples and the spiritual temple. And so what I did in that situation was I set out like a flare, like a warning shot, to let these entities know that they were not indeed the holders of our inheritance, and that our inheritance was ours. Shalom, shalom. And as a result, a lot of stuff came from that, stuff that was, I made public, and some things that I didn't make public, because, again, my goal is to, capture, or not capture is the wrong word, but to usher as many people into safety as I can, so that they don't have to you know, the ones who are seeking refuge. You know, it's got to be somebody who's like, you know, for lack of a better term, like a Harriet Tubman that's sneaking people out the back door. You know, everybody can't go out the front door. Some people, that's their job. And I have nothing to say about what anybody else's job is. All I can tell you what my job is, and my job is to usher out as many children to safety as possible. Shalom, shalom. I refuse to, on my watch, having my experience with my client being murdered, sit by and watch innocent people be just brutalized for no reason when they weren't even given a chance to be proper. You know, when you weren't even given a chance to do the right thing, how is it fair that you are, you know, you're just allowed to be destroyed along with the rest of the system? I mean, that doesn't seem fair. And I know that there are people who, you know, feel like we've had enough life cycles that we should get this right, so on and so forth. But maybe that's true. And maybe I'm wrong. I have no problem with being wrong. But I know one thing, I can only do what I was told. And so this is why I'm bringing this up. I had posted about, you know, Diamond, of Diamond and Silk, and, you know, having respect for her, being that she did what she was told to do. And I feel like we have to be extremely careful about saying that we know what somebody else was, what their job was, because upon having several discussions with, you know, the team, the squad, whatever you call them, sisters, I came to the conclusion that maybe it was her job to just get people to think about not being on that plantation or whatever. And then I realized that all of this was a distraction, because what I was really supposed to be looking at and working on was this whole timeline issue. And so we're so used to being distracted and taken out of our off our track that, you know, it only takes one small thing and then everything is rolling out of control and all of a sudden you're off your timeline. So the question is, whose timeline is it anyway? You know, what is the deal with the timelines? All of a sudden, everybody is now realizing that there's a timeline. And there's always been a timeline, but people were talking about it, but it wasn't such a pressing issue. And now for me, it's been a pressing issue. So since the first of the year, I've been doing really nothing but trying to wrap my mind around this timeline. I know it's kind of like a long intro, but y'all know how I am. I wanted to get to the point of talking about the whole timeline issue, but I wanted to put that out there that we don't know what anybody's job is. And I know for a fact there's a brother that we watch on the internet right now who says that he's a Jehovah's Witness, but from all sense that I can tell and every question that I've asked, this man is somehow entwined with all of this stuff. And so that really is a point where I'm just like, I will not judge what anybody else's job is. Everybody do your job. All I ask, back to that thing about the message that I gave, is that people stay in their lane. Whatever your job is, just do your job. Don't worry about if other people are doing their jobs. Just do your job, because we need you to do your job. I can't do my job if you're not doing your job, whatever it is. I mean, you know, this is why we do all the readings and the checks and what. Just do your job, because if you do your job, I can do my job. Everybody else can do their job, especially as the daughters. You know, if we stay on track, everything stays on track. If we stay on the timeline, everything stays on the timeline. So that's why this whole issue of a timeline is important. So as I mentioned in one of my other videos, when y'all did your ivory soap bath last year, you actually tapped into the timeline, because the ivory soap bath happened before. I think I explained it already, but it happened at the right time, and you followed up with a fast that started at the right time, and it covered all the right things. And then we followed that up by, you know, covering the other days. There's a lot of stuff that got covered in the midst of what happened from the time y'all did the bath last year. until this point right now. And so the reason why the timeline is important is because it is my belief that if we get on the proper timeline, our powers will be turned on because we will have the understanding of how to create or recreate ourselves. Meaning, there has to be structure, there has to be order. The mother, the Most High, they have an order, they have a structure, they have a timeline there's a cosmic timeline that they operate on. Just like we know there's cosmic feasts, there's cosmic gatherings, there's a cosmic timeline. And if we are able to get into that timeline, then we will be deemed worthy to go into that creator mode. And without being on that timeline, all things work together for the good, for those who are called by his purpose. Exactly. If we, shalom, shalom, if we don't consciously get on the timeline. Now, it's good to be on the timeline by accident. I've been on this timeline my whole life. I had no idea. The more I look at it, the more I'm like, wow, I've always been on this timeline. I had no idea this is the timeline I was on. My whole life I've been on this timeline. And so what I want us to do is consciously get on the timeline that we need to get on. And a part of that is we do have to clean our temples. Now, I have been vocal in my disagreement with people who say that we shouldn't eat meat. However, I think during fasting, especially, probably a good idea. Shalom, shalom. Not to eat meat. And I think the very first fast that I did leading up to the summer solstice was sun up to sundown plus no meat, which was really hard because I was going up to the longest day of the year. So this is probably not going to be as hard because it's going up to the shorter day of the year. And the most important part, as one of the sisters keeps reminding me, is that we purify our temple, and not, as it was said to me, just because you are a vegan, you eat raw, that doesn't mean your temple is purified. That's totally different things. You have a physical temple to purify, and you also have a spiritual temple to purify. If you're not purifying your spiritual temple with as much fervor as your physical temple, or what a lot of people I see doing, they're cursing the people who are not purifying their physical temple the same way that they are, because they think that they have the proper answers. They're the only ones with the answers. And I'm saying I don't have any of the answers. All I can do is tell you what my job is that I can share so that you can compare it against what you were told that you should do, especially as his daughters. The men have a little bit of a different situation going on. And one day I will address that, but I'm not really sure how to address the men right now because I haven't done enough thinking about what it is that they need to be doing. I have an idea based on my own situation here at my house, but I don't have 100% clarity on that. So I can only talk to the daughters about what we need to do. And the number one thing we need to do is be clear about what we're supposed to be doing and check everything that we do against the spirit, because while there are rules that apply generally, the rules may not apply specifically to you, because what is your job? It all depends on what the spirit told you to do. When all else fails, you go with your instincts. Your instincts is not going to lead you wrong. In this situation, okay, your instincts will lead you wrong. Your instincts will lead you wrong if you eat zero fermented food. Your digestive tract is all messed up. You have done nothing to deal with that. If your ego is encroaching in there, your instincts will lead you wrong. If you haven't done any of the spiritual work, if you refuse to burn candles, burn incense, burn anything to help the physical environment around you be purified so that you can yourself absorb that. Your skin is your largest organ. Your skin is your largest organ. So if you're burning incense, if you're burning different fumigations, you're taking that in through your skin. It's your largest organ. You cannot just think that, okay, and then let me talk about this thing with the food thing a little bit more, because it's not just about it. You do have to purify your body, but if you think you're going to the grocery store and getting pure foods, shalom, uh yeah, thank you, your dark side is unchecked. If you think you're going to the store and you're getting pure foods, you have no idea what goes on in a grocery store. Nothing in a grocery store is alive. If you go to a regular grocery store, you see this light right here, this kind of light. That light, when it's put on vegetables, kills every living bacteria in there. And what makes a food living is the bacteria. And so if you're not taking in fermented foods, you know, then it doesn't matter. Everything else is irrelevant, because the fermented foods, the living food, the living bacteria, what you need to take in is what is actually doing something for your digestive tract. Your digestive tract is, you know, like the largest organ you have. Your skin is your biggest outside organ, but inside, yeah, your digestive tract is huge. Between your small intestine and your large intestine together, I mean, it's huge. And so if you're not cleaning that out, I mean, that's what the fasting and stuff does. It cleans that stuff out. Now, as far as your dark side being unchecked, this is specifically Sister Pat's specialty. 30 feet of I mean, good God Almighty. And you don't take a spoonful of yogurt, you know, every few days, or you haven't done any fasting, you know, at all. That's really an issue. You know, that's really an issue. But yeah, your dark side. So that's Sister Pat's specialty. What I can say about dealing with your dark side is that if you don't wrangle that beast is going to wrangle you. And it's going to be really obvious as the vibrations change, those people who don't have control over their physical selves. And the problem with having control over our physical selves is that it requires you to be uncomfortable. And it's also like a process. So there's nobody who is like perfectly perfect at this. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that you will get better at as you go along. It's not one of those things that you just wake up and all of a sudden, you know, you have conquered yourself. No, bit by bit, piece by piece, you see that you are getting better, and things aren't quite as bad as they have been, or so on and so forth. So an example I can give of that for myself is that, man, me and my old man, we always going at it. And then I just told the Most High and the Mother, I said, listen, I'm not about to be dealing with this. Not one more minute. Y'all gonna have to do something. Cause this is how I do. This is how I do with the Mother and the Father. I tell them, y'all going to have to do something about this. I need peace in my home. And I've done everything that I could. I fasted, I prayed, I burned candles, this and that. There's nothing left for me to actually do. So what I do, I turn it over. I say, okay, y'all gonna have to deal with this. I'm gonna go back to what I was doing. And they dealt with it. And shockingly, things are much more peaceful in my house in general. Like, not just with him, but just everybody is chilling right now, and that hasn't been the case for quite a long time, you know. And so I'm starting to see that a part of this process is that you do have to just turn it over to, once you've done your part, which you feel like, okay, I have done my part. There's nothing else I can actually do, because every time I do something, it's not making it better. It's just compounding the issue. You know what I mean? You have to let them deal with it. Like, I got a phone call, well, not even a phone call from me. My mom was on the phone with somebody who gave a message to me. I was supposed to be giving a message to them, but somehow they gave the message to me that, you know, the Most High is going to take care of everything. Don't worry. I'm like, all praises to the Most High. I'm not going to worry about nothing. Just keep moving forward. I keep getting the message that everything is going to be fine. Just keep moving forward. And so that's what another one of the messages I wanted to pass on. Everything is going to be fine. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Again, this goes back into your job. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Do what makes you feel comfortable. Do what you feel comfortable with. And, you know, if there's, I would say, you know, different people online who are like, bring you fear or bring you this or bring you that. If that's something that that helps you get through your day, man, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't be up here stressing out over, oh, this person said this about that person, and this person said that about that person, and I shouldn't like this person. I shouldn't like, man, do whatever you need to do to get through your day. Period. The daughters have to be at peace. Like, not as soon as we start getting chaotic with our energy, everything starts getting chaotic. And I'm telling y'all, I don't want no more winters. I'm tired of winter. So it's me trying to tell everybody to just do what you do. Don't worry about it, because the Most High is going to take care of, he's going to take care of it. As long as you do your part. What is your part? You're fasting, you're praying, you're seeking, especially you're seeking. If you don't read, you want to, take in different audios, seek out different knowledge. Don't worry about all of that stuff. What we don't need is to keep repeating the same things over and over again. And I'm new. I always say that I'm new to this side of things. I keep asking the sisters who have been here longer, why didn't anybody try to resolve these issues before? You mean to tell me I'm the only one who said, how do we bring peace? Because it's one thing to say, be at peace, but it's another thing to bring the peace. Nobody was trying to bring peace. I mean, nobody, like, people were just letting different groups argue and fight, and nobody said, look, all of that stuff is irrelevant. Like, if we're on our way out of here, why does it matter who's saying what? If that's their job, as long as they stay in their lane, and that's it, I don't care. I truly do not care. And anybody can feel however they want to feel about that. But it brings people, especially older people, far more turmoil to worry about who is talking about the next person than it does to just say, you know what, when I get the call to step back, I step back. When I get the call to be active, I be active. That's a much better way to deal with it. And as far as Sister Blackfoot, you trying to teach yourself how to work with the crystals, it is terrifying. All this stuff is terrifying. That's true. That's what I'm talking about. We don't know what everybody's job, and that's why it's important. We don't know what everybody's job is. So for me to say, don't listen to this person, don't listen to that person, don't do this, don't do. I don't know. We don't know what anybody's jobs is. Just like we don't know what any of these crystals and stuff do. We don't know. We're just out here guessing most of the time and hoping that what we're hearing is the truth, which is why, you have your pendulums, you have your stuff that you can do a self-check. I mean, this is why as soon as I found out how you could use the pendulum, I said, please, y'all go and get your pendulums, because instead of you asking the question, should I do this, should I do that, you could do a self-check. You could just ask, your guardian angel's not going to lie to you. The angels are not men that they should lie. Now, the demons, they'll lie to you in a heartbeat, but you can control them too. But the angels are not men that they should lie. And so if you use your pendulum and say, do I need to just step back for a little while? Yes. Okay. All praises to the Most High. No. Okay. All praises to the Most High. I'm going to keep moving forward, because we are the arbiters of the justice in general, the women. And so we have to be able to evaluate a situation from all sides. And then we have to figure out once you know what your job is, you will, it brings you peace. Exactly. It will bring you peace of mind in how you move forward. Like, if I see controversial videos, I'll say, do I need to, and we do all have gifts, and it's trial and error. And some people who are on the internet, like you see me, this is all public. I'm not doing any of my trial and error in private like everybody else. I'm way public with it. And so you can clearly see, that's why I will come back and say, Oh, I was wrong about that. Oh, I had that wrong. Oh, this, oh, that. I'm trying to move forward with more accuracy, which is where the whole concept of the timeline comes in. And the reason why the timeline is so important is because when we, at least the daughters of Zion, the men, you get on the timeline too, your life is going to be so much better, because getting on the timeline puts you in the frequency of what is naturally occurring. See, the thing is, people want to be gods over worlds or whatever it is. People, I don't know. I don't know what people want. I don't pretend to know. I just repeat what they say that they want. People want to be gods over different people. They want to be lords over the world, whatever. But they refuse to understand the actual flow of how things go, number one. And number two, they refuse to deal with their shadow side. If you haven't dealt with your shadow, if your, vice is women, you're going to have all kinds of women throwing themselves at you because you didn't deal with your vice. One thing I did when I was young, I was always addicted to like weird stuff like fish sticks. I like fish sticks. And so I would get like one year, my friend got me literally a box of fish sticks for my birthday. I was so happy. I love fish sticks. But I would say, okay, well, I'm not going to eat fish sticks anymore. And I would just stop. I would buy them. And then, Murray's fish sticks, man, y'all know those Murray's fish sticks was like the best fish sticks on the planet, man. You can't even get them no more. So anyway, but this is how I would do. I knew that I had an addictive personality. Like I could easily be addicted to things. So I would partake in stuff and then I would stop. And I would say, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then I would be like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I would say, not going to do this anymore. And it was the same thing with when I was, okay, so I've been watching, I know everybody has seen it. It's a show called One-on-One with Kyla Pratt and Flex Washington. And the crazy thing about that show is that I realized that there were two different timelines for Black people when that show came out. Either you were kind of on that timeline, because I graduated from high school in 2003, and so she graduated in 2005, so that was like really when I was in high school. So if you were on that timeline with Kyla Pratt, you had all of these issues related to sex. It was just a real problem. Like when I say a real problem, you would tell you it was just there was a problem. Then you had, that was one set of Black people, the bougie Black people, I would say. And then the less bougie Black people, they were on the Wire timeline, because both of those shows were based in Baltimore and they both came out about the same time. And so when you look at it from that perspective where, okay, you had the Black women who were kind of on this, I'm going to wait until marriage whole thing, which they weaponized. I'll get to that in a second. Then you had the men who were kind of like on this whole Wire thing. You could see that stuff is not even compatible. It doesn't go together. And that was just like one of the major ways they divided people. 'Cause I never seen The Wire. My old man, he watched it. He'll watch it all the time. I'm like, what is it? I mean, Baltimore's so weird. Why would you put shows in Baltimore? But the fact that they had these two competing shows that were about the same age group of people, two totally different things related to them, you can see how that could create a lot of animosity between men and women right there. And then what they did with that on the side of the women is you had a bunch of women out here who were like, I'm not having sex till I get married, and I don't want to have no kids in college and this and that. And who were these women? These were all educated women who went to college, women who were following in that footstep of, oh, I'm going to college and I'm going to get my degree and then I'm going to get a job. And then once I get a job, maybe I'll think about having kids and this and that. And so me as a young person, I was kind of like this. I was like, yeah, I know. And I'm not going to talk about Baltimore right now. I was kind of like this. I was on both sides of the issue. That's just a typical a Cocavite, it's always going to be like somewhere in the midst. So I refused. I was not having sex in high school at all whatsoever. I was like, no, this is not going to work. This is going to be really bad. I don't want to get involved in this kind of stuff with these people because I knew that was an issue. When I got to college, I was kind of like, looking at my peers and seeing that they were using not having sex as a weapon. They weaponized it. And, I've had a problem with that too, because I was like, well, if you're not doing it, for a reason, that makes sense. But if you're not doing it as a weapon, like, oh no, because school was more important, because a job was more important, because all this fear around like getting pregnant, as if people didn't know how pregnancy happened. Like, it was so much weird stuff that was going on at that time. And I was like, okay, all right, this is kind of getting out of hand, because there are people who are like, just really weird about it. Like it's just so weird. It started to get so weird. And I was like, well, I don't want to be one of those weird people either. So, I will do something so that I don't have to be in that group either. And so that I could be following the narrow path, which is making a decision based on, all the evidence I had. I knew that there's no way you don't have sex one time and get pregnant like that. That's not how it works. Especially if you're the woman, especially now that we know that the women are the ones who, right, it was the shame getting pregnant out of wedlock. That was a whole, complex that they put in our minds, the millennials especially. I mean, I don't know about the Gen Xers, but for sure in the millennials, it was this whole thing that, was beat into us. Like, don't get married. We better have, kids, and you better wait, not even wait, you better wait to have kids. And that was the part where I knew that was an issue, because I could clearly see I had older cousins and stuff like that who had waited and then they couldn't have kids. And so it's almost like they're trying to tell you, you need to wait until you find this mysterious perfect man who doesn't exist, because men have to be built. So you're not going to find a man who's perfect. So, but you got to wait until you find this mysterious perfect man. And then everything has to somehow be perfect, because men are so great at like being perfect. Men are so great at surprises and dates and all of this stuff. I can't even get it out. That somehow they're going to make this so special and perfect because that's what they're good at. Like, no, this is not how any of this works. This is the most craziest stuff I've ever seen. But that's how it was. That's how things were going. And so at some point you have to say, okay, all right, I get it, but like I have to make my own decisions here. Like I really am not going to be led by the nose to make these decisions that don't make no sense, especially if I know that they are, they're questionable at best, because really it was the churches who was telling you get that job first before you have any kids, because they wanted your tithe money. Because, well, I don't know how it was for everybody's church, but in my church, they sent us to, they gave us money to go to college, so they expected when we graduated from college that we would contribute to the scholarship fund and, become tithing members of the church and all of that. Like, it was an investment that they made in us, and they was expecting a return on their investment. And so the whole thing about that is, I was starting to see like all this stuff wasn't quite adding up, it just didn't make no sense. It was just too much for a regular person to say, okay, some of this stuff don't make no sense, man. Y'all gonna have to get it together, and how you are saying that we should do this stuff. And so, I made a decision not to be one of these people who was all weird about this stuff. And people who were and are weird about it, they are, I could just see how it's very easy to be weird about this stuff. And so that's why, the whole thing about, that's why you have to deal with your shadow, because every decision you make needs to be a decision that you make for yourself. You can't make a decision based on what somebody else says. You can't make a, oh my goodness, yeah, you had it twice as double. You can't make your decisions based on what everybody else does and says. You really have to make your decisions based on what you say, the mother, the father, the angels are given to you. And the more we're able to walk in this sort of magical lifestyle, the better it is. And that's why it's important to figure out, back to the timeline issue. What is this timeline that we're on? So I don't have the exact timeline uh, finished, but I do want to walk you guys through some things on this timeline. And I know y'all have not seen this in completely before, but let's see. Here we go. This is no, orientation is locked. Okay, I gotta throw it this way. Give me a second to figure out how to scroll down so y'all can see the whole thing. Okay. I'll just start with part of it. Okay, so if I had known I wasn't gonna be able to switch orientation, I would have started at the bottom. Okay, so this is part of the timeline. I'm letting y'all see the bottom part. When I talk about the top part, I will. Oh shoot! I cut off my sound. Hold on. Okay. All right. My bad. Okay, so this is our spiral here, which I actually put onto the board so that I could look at it. And in looking at it, I got my laser pointer, in looking at it, I changed a few things. So the number one thing that I changed right here, we have the emperor in the center. And usually the emperor is number 4 out here where we have the fool. And the issue with you can hear me, okay. The issue with having the emperor, the fool in the center, it makes it seem like the Most High is a foolish ruler, which I thought that was pretty outrageous myself. So I was like, well, that's not going to work. We're going to have to change that. Something else that I changed is over here, judgment. I put judgment beside the devil. I switched this judgment card with over here this temperance card. And that makes sense for a few reasons, but I'm just going to, so let's start back. When we really got started on stuff, we were here. This is, as you can see, Virgo, right? We got started right here. It was hermit mode. And at this time, we went from strength mode. Now, we started our 40-day fast right here. And at somewhere towards the middle of this time period, that's when we had the Queen exiting stage left. And then after that, we went into kind of like a hermit mode. At least I did. And I kept telling everybody to, get your plans together, build your schedule, stuff like that, so that you could be prepared for the upcoming year. That was the hermit. Then the next one, after the fall equinox, was the Wheel of Fortune. At that time, that was Virgo going into Libra. At that time, it was really, questionable about what would happen. And so what we did in that October time period, if you remember, towards the end of it, we have the Justice card, which this square has 3, and then these have 2. The ones at the top all have 1. We have that Justice card. That's where we basically started our 22-day fast, going from this Justice card into this Hangman card, right? And then after that, at the end of Scorpio, that's when you have the Death card. That was pretty much the end of their system. We really wiped out their system coming from out of that 22-day fast into going into Sagittarius. We really wiped out their system. It was really a slow and painful thing. So from that, you see the start of Sagittarius is a judgment, where I have it as a judgment card. And in that time of judgment, the beginning of Sagittarius, which would have been November, right around Thanksgiving, right? That's when all of that information started coming out about, what Thanksgiving really was and all of this stuff. That was the judgment card. And then right after that, you have the temptation by the devil. And what I want to point out about this card right here, this is 13, right? So y'all can see that. I'm going to go up here to the top. You have the Lovers card, which is here in Gemini, and you have the Chariot card, which is here in um, Cancer. And so both the Lovers card and the Chariot card, this summer solstice is a dividing line. So from here, you have a man and a woman and then a man. On this side, you have a man and a woman and then a man. It mirrors itself on this top half. And on this bottom half, it does something a little bit different. But I wanted to point that out because you have this man and a woman here, you have this man and a woman here. And if you look down, go back down to the bottom side, you have the Devil card, which has a man and a woman, and you have a Tower card, which have a man and a woman. So both sides of this thing, they mirror each other. And so once you understand that, like each different time period has a different set of rulership, then you can get into the flow. So for example, right here, we're in Capricorn still. And this time period, again, I switched this. This is really, it says number 2, but this is really the card number 1, and then number 2, and then number 3. So like I said, there's a few things that I switched to actually make this whole thing correct. But this time period is ruled by the High Priestess, the Tower, and then the Star. And so with the High Priestess energy, that's, of course, the women would be stepping up and saying, we have to take more control. There's more stuff that we have to do because we're in that High Priestess energy, And then we had the Tower energy come in. I don't know if everybody else felt like the last week or so was just like torture. I know that it was for me. And then all of a sudden you get into the Star mode when you start to shine. And then the next time period, which is Aquarius, starts in a few days. It's the Magician energy is going to come in first, which is as above, so below, because you see that's what he's making that sign. And then we'll have the Moon energy and then the Sun energy. So the Moon is going to be a lot of dark to light, and even he's got as above, so below, and you got the Sun and the Moon on either side. That's a lot of dark to light energy. So it's going to be a lot of quote unquote secrets exposed under this, Aquarius sign, which is also an air sign. So it's going to be a lot of stuff through. I couldn't even hardly get out the bed until like today, because now we came into the Star energy. But during that Tower energy, man, that's crazy. So I'm telling you guys this so you can follow along, and start to see how these things play out in your life. So as we come into Aquarius, you can see there's going to be a lot of as above, so below, a lot of exposure of what is done in the dark being brought to the light. That's what you see right here. And then in Pisces, and this is just leading up until our new year, you see we have the Empress energy. That's number 3. And remember, I put Temperance here because this is another as above, so below, but this is like on a higher level because him in the Magician is as above, so below, but that's everything. Here it's just of the chosen. It's the as above, so below just for the chosen, not for everybody. It's not going to be everybody. And just like the world is not for everybody. It's just the whoever is chosen during, this time period, who's being separated at this time period, that's going to be able to go into this world energy. But guess what? Right after that, when we come into Aries, everybody's going to be coming in as the Fool. That means everything that we've done through these last 3 months is going to come up, and it's going to be something brand new to everybody when we come into this Fool energy. And so I want to give y'all a preview on this. I am going to have this as a product. I'm still working on it, but I felt like it was important to give everybody like a heads up on the energy that's coming in. So when we get into this Aquarius and all the things that are done in the dark are brought to the light, don't be surprised. This is why, let me go back to me for a second. This is why I'm not really like so concerned about what anybody is doing or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, the energy is going to take care of itself. It's nothing I have to do. All I have to do is be in alignment with this energy and things will take care of themselves. And that's how we have to operate. As long as we're going against the energy that's coming in, because we don't understand this. And this thing is not like, I got this, like I told everybody, from Lord Asaron, but I have added some things in there, and there's some more things that's going to be added in, because the mother has given me some more stuff. But I got this from a man. I got this from a Gentile at that. And I took what I saw him do and I modified it for our purposes, for the true purposes it was designed for. And the whole idea is that so we can get into the flow, the natural flow of life. When you're in the so I did a lot of like motivational, like not speaking, but like I've listened to a lot of motivational books and stuff like that, and they're always talking about getting into the flow state, getting into the natural course of life and all of that, and they never tell you how to do it. I just told you how to do it. It's right here on this circle. I mean, I didn't even do this stuff on the inside, but just going with the major arcana on the outside, you can't. I mean, once you get into this flow state, it's gonna be really hard to bring you out of it, because this is the natural flow of the universe. It's a spiral. People are. This is called the tarot spiral. Because it spirals from the inside out. This is not like a wheel. It's a spiral. You know what I mean? And so like when you look at life as a spiral, I mean, there are highs and there are lows. And you're going to go from the bottom to the top, from the middle to the outside, and from the outside back to the middle. That's what a spiral is. That's what our DNA is. And if you can visualize that in a way that you can apply it to your life, then you will be on the proper this everybody. I mean, I couldn't even get out of bed. I was just too tired, and I've been, catching up on all the stuff that I can, but I was just like, I don't know what happened. And I woke up this morning, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm ready to go. This is amazing. So, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with this whole thing, and this is not really something that other people are talking about. But like I said, I just adapted this from Lord Asaron and made it for us, our purposes, and I put the things in the proper place. So nobody has a deck like this. I'm going to make a deck like this too, with the beloved sister Pamela Coleman Smith's drawings, because all of them come from somewhere, and all of this information comes from somewhere, and I've just about got it, the code cracked, you know what I mean, so that we can use this. But again, this is just another one of those tools that if you haven't done the work on the inside, if you haven't acknowledged your shadow, if you haven't like I said, go back and relive your bad memories and get those things out of there, relive them and give them good endings and all that stuff. If you haven't done the work, then these things are not going to work for you. None of this stuff is going to work. And this is why I think what I have noticed is that a lot of men, they can't use pendulums. The pendulums don't work for them because they haven't done the work. They don't really acknowledge who is the one running the pendulum, and like I said, the Father is the one that gives you authorization, which is why my invocation, is the way that it is, because it's the Father who gives authorization, but it's the mother who makes it happen. And so if you aren't like able to, acknowledge the mother properly, then you're not going to be given authorization to use her tools. She's going to, whatever tools you are using, she's going to take away from you because you're not using them properly. And so, I don't think I have the actual gift for astrology. The angels tell me this stuff. I'm just a vessel, I just put out the war cry when necessary, so that we can get to where we have to be, because otherwise we're just going to be, again, like I said, I can't believe that nobody had ever come in and said, look, we got to find peace amongst our people. That's got to be the top priority. And it's not because we all agree or we disagree or somebody's doing right or somebody's doing wrong. It's too many absolutes. There's no absolute in life. There's no absolute in life. How can we, it's not even absolute. We're not even absolute because we have masculine and feminine energy within us. We have estrogen and testosterone. So how can there be absolutes? I have always had a problem with absolutes because I knew that the only thing that was absolutely true is that there was a God, and even that is it a man? Is it a woman? Is it a this? Is it a that? Who is it? How do you become a God? How do the God rule? What it is, that, and the third, and everything else. You know what I mean? The whole thing about all of this is that there's no absolutes. You have to go with the spiral. You have to it's ups and it's downs, it's highs and it's lows. And like I talk about our heart, it goes from being collapsed, like flat, all the way to puffed out huge. And it looks like in our heart that it's beating, but it's going from collapse to out, to collapse to out, to collapse to out. But it's not really beating, it's literally puffing up so big that it could explode, and it's going all the way down so that it's completely collapsed. That's what's happening in our body all the time. And if we can't flow with that cycle of going from high to low to high to low, it creates a lot of issues, and we have a lot more problems than are necessary. This time of the year is the hardest time. Oh, we're working on a class. It's coming together. I just wanted to give y'all a sneak peek because I saw so much harsh energy out here. I wanted to, mellow everybody out with some mellow energy and something that was more, I feel, is more important. Um, that's something that we really should be focused on. So but this is it's coming, it's going to be really good information that we can use to help solve our problems and to conquer ourselves, because this whole thing about the darkness and the light and all of that, we know that's coming up for our next slice. You know what I mean? In Aquarius, we know that's coming up. um They were born with a pendulum. Who was? Oh, I just stopped it. That's my friend Justin. Oh, good God Almighty. Yeah, I just a lot. We just. That's why I'm trying to ease y'all into it, because this is all I've been thinking about, is trying to get this timeline down in an easy way so people can understand it, because a lot of people talk about timelines, and I know I post a lot of information from Gentiles about timelines, but we cannot move forward until we really get an understanding of how this timeline works, and then we will start to age in reverse, really, because the whole idea is that the timeline, first of all, the Gentiles look at astrology and they have everything backwards. So just by putting the chart in the proper order with the 1 through 6 on the top and then the 6 through 12 on the bottom, it just putting it in the proper order, it's just another thing that just expands your mind. And it's a lot to learn. I mean, I'm not saying I don't know everything. All I can say is this is what I figured out so far, just by looking back and saying, wait a minute, we did a strong move when we started that fast, and then we went into hermit mode, and then there was a choice to be made, and justice was put on the plate, because Saturn went back into Saturn came out of retrograde, and this stuff is every year, so you're able to get into the flow of how life is supposed to actually go, and that's what we're trying to do. So the next slice that's coming up, just so that I can give people an understanding, the next slice that's coming up, we have the Magician, which is really the number 2 card. We have the Moon, which is the, what is that, 20, 19, 20, 21, 17, 18, 19, 20, wait, 21, 20, 19, 18. It's card 18 and card 19. So we have card 2 of the major arcana, card 18 and card 19. What it seems like to me is the first 8 to 10 days of the cycle is the first card, which will be card 2, which is the Magician. The next 8 to 10 days is the Moon card. So that's when we might have those 3 days of darkness and stuff people were talking about. That would be card 17. And then we have card 18, which is the Sun. A lot of stuff is going to be exposed in the last half of Aquarius. The last 8 to 10 days of Aquarius. And then we'll be going into the Empress energy, back into big mama energy, like huge big mama energy. It's going to be off the hook. It's going to be real saturated with with feminine energy coming into Pisces, which is fine. So I haven't figured out my not next week. The 21st is going to be whenever the 21st is. It might be next week. Yeah. 21st. The 21st, that's where we're coming into the magician energy. That's going to be a lot of dark to light energy. A lot of mysterious and magical things will be happening in during that energy, you know. And it's not anything you have to do. The best thing you can do is observe. And that way, when I do another live and we talk about it, you can say, oh, I noticed that happened. Oh, I noticed that. Right now, we're in the observation phase. Whenever you do data collection, there's multiple phases. And one of the phases is observation. Just observe. Now that I'm making you aware that these cards line up with days, just observe what's going on and keep a note of it. Like, oh, I think she said these cards were, you know, going to be influential at this time. Let's just see what happens. You know, next week, this weekend, I mean, we're until the 21st, which is, I think it's like the end of next week, you know, and even going into the magician energy, it's not going to be bad for us. I mean, none of this is bad for us. See, the whole thing about this is none of this is bad for us. This is all good for us, especially the daughters. This is good for us. All of these things are good for us. What we want to do is just tap into the energy so it can be easy. Everything has been so hard, and that's what I was really looking for when I started doing my daily prayers and stuff like that, to make things easier for people, because all of this stuff, everything is so hard. Like, it's so hard, you know. How can we make things easier? Oh yeah, Shabbatai. So that's the end of uh Aquarius starts on the 22nd. So, you know, you're going to be into that star energy. It's going to be a good week. Next week is going to be a really good week. The star energy is going to be here, and it's just going to be like we're shining. We did the shine and star bath. Our star's going to really start to shine. You know what I mean? And then it's going to be right out of that shine and right into the whole like magical thing. Like, you know, the whole idea is once we're able to get on the timeline, our powers. Yes, our bodies have to roll with the energy. And so when your body is telling you, you know, take it easy, you basically just have to take it easy. You know, like if, you know, like I said, today I woke up, I was like, wow, I feel great. I don't know what's going on, but all of that heavy tower energy, you know, because people talk about the tower like you have tower moments, but now we see in the year, every year you're going to have a tower week. That's on top of whenever your week for your demon is. I mean, you got multiple tower weeks, so you can line that up and figure out. Again, I have to, you know, get all of this, the details kind of written down in a cohesive manner, but this is just a general way of when you look at it, you can see where you are on the chart and what's going on. And not only do we have the high priestess energy right now, um, it could be if you've done some spiritual work, Jess, which you know how I am about that. A lot of people have not done the spiritual work and the shadow work. So hopefully you've done some work and some fasting and some praying, and it will be good. And if you haven't, then it's going to be a little tougher, you know, but the good energy is flowing in at this time. So another part of this is right now we have, like I said, we're in the high priestess energy, but we also in the queen of pentacles energy. So we have this like this was a very expansive month, even though it's ruled by Saturn. Saturn is heavy. Saturn also rules next month because there's an axis that the planets are on, which is different than the axis that the cards are on. So Saturn rules this month. Saturn also rules next month. So it's, even though it's a male sort, it's the male side of it. This month was more the feminine side of it. Next month is going to be more of the masculine side of the female energy, because you have the magician and you have the knight of wands, and so it's going to be the masculine side of the it's going to be the wrecking, it's going to be wrecking house next month. I mean, So don't be surprised if you see a bunch of crazy stuff happen, because again, shop's gonna be getting wrecked. And I realized that this was true because when did Putin start his war? He started his war on the 22nd of January. Was it January or February? It was February. He started his war on the 22nd of February. He waited to get into the high priestess energy and this king energy. They have this stuff. Everything lines up. Everything that's happened lines up. I mean, I often talk way too long about this spiral and how you can just find everything on here. Yeah, it was February 22nd. So it was right before the spring equinox, the Empress energy that I think the masculine side of the feminine energy is heavy. I feel like it's going to be a lot of that dark to light moniker energy. Yeah, 222 that was directly into this energy of the Empress, Temperance, and the world. I mean, that if you want to start a war where you're going to take over the world or start World War III, you do it in the world energy. And that's exactly what he did. And then also the page, the page and the king, that's a whole nother set of things. So he used the mother. I mean, I'm tired of these. And okay, so this thing with the flights today, it seems to be, because I have been thinking about that since earlier. It's almost like a warning. You know what I mean? It's almost like a warning shot. Well, the thing about this particular kind of energy is that, let me finish that and I will address that. The thing about this type of energy that comes in is that it takes you off the zodiac. As long as you are unaware that this is how the energy flows, you typically try to just get into flow based on your sign, which is not wrong, but it just keeps you on the zodiac. This is why I say, whose timeline is it anyway? As long as you're on the timeline that's specific to your zodiac, it's going to be it's your timeline. Our timeline is this timeline here. It puts us off of the zodiac because it's the cosmic timeline. And so the idea is to try to not to put down that energy that we get from what is actually in our chart, but to merge it together. So like for Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and they're both air signs. So Geminis will probably be fine because Gemini is an air sign. I happen to be an earth sign. So I'm going to have a hard time next month. I can tell you right now, it's going to be tough for me because I'm an earth sign. I'm very, Aquarius season. Yeah, I'm way down by like earthbound stuff. And so I am, we're gonna have Earth are probably gonna have a hard time next month because this whole dark to light thing and all of that. Oh, water and air usually go together. It's Earth that has a hard time with everything. See? Yeah, it's Earth that has a hard time with everything, unless we're in the Earth sign. Like now, hey, I'm, chilling. Fire and air go together fine. It's only Earth that is totally different from everybody else, you know. So Earth signs, we're gonna have a problem, because I'm a Virgo too, Miss Abby. We're gonna have a problem. We're gonna have a tough. It's gonna be heavier on us because the air signs will just be riding the wave. That is if we can't figure out how to ride the wave. So that's why we have to observe. So sometimes you will just have to, as an Earth sign, kind of try to go along to get along, just so you can ride the wave. Water signs will be water and air goes together fine. Water and air goes together fine. But see, there's a water sign. There's an air of the water. There's an air of the fire, there's an air of the air. There's no air of the earth. There is an air of the earth on the earth side, but not on. There's no earth of the earth. So it doesn't really work like that. The signs don't. And so the whole idea is, in general, we want to try to get on the flow, the universal flow, as opposed to being stuck in our zodiac flow. And the way that we can get on that is by understanding what's coming up in each different segment. And it's only these ones that are the most complicated, because once we get to Aries, then it's one energy for the whole sign. Taurus is one energy for the whole sign. It's only like these ones down here. Remember, this is the time when like plants are really building up their roots. So that's why there's so much energy going into this time, because we're being built up and prepared for what's going to happen when we get across spring equinox into the next set of energies. And so that's why it seems it's going to be kind of chaotic from now until Shalom, shalom. It's going to be kind of chaotic from now until spring equinox, just because, it was so many cards. It's 9 cards on the deck from now until spring equinox. That's a lot. And then after spring equinox, it's going to be pretty easy going all the way until fall equinox. We're going to ride the energy that you put in now, the effort that you put in now. We'll be able to ride that all the way through fall equinox, and then we'll have to start building up our strength and stuff like that again. It'll be a little bit more difficult, but right now it's going to be a lot easier for us to kind of go get into this vibe, you know what I mean? And so the whole thing is, the thing I can say is, you don't know what anybody's job is, so let everybody do their job and don't worry about it. Do whatever makes you happy and don't worry about it. Whatever your angels tell you to do, that's what you should do. Use your pendulum, do a double check, a triple check. I use my pendulum to communicate with the mother and the father. I have a meeting time that's set up that I always meet with them to talk about whatever it is and to give my feedback about what I see. I treat that whole situation with a lot of respect. And if you could set up a time to, ask the Most High your questions, ask the Mother your questions, ask your guardian angel your questions, and you have that time that you always do every week, then you can go about your week with a lot of peace, because everything is going to work out because you're making the effort. The Most High wants to see the effort. The Mother wants to see the effort. If you're making the effort, that puts you on the list. As far as I'm concerned, you can ask again and make sure, but I suggest what I'm asking is that the people who are making the effort, let them be the ones that are on the list. It's hard for people to know that they need to make an effort, and so if they do manage to make effort, just let them have some peace about that, and don't let people be so stressed out about who's going where and how and when and all this stuff. It's too much. Like, we have so much work we need to be doing. Y'all saw the spiral. We have a lot of work we got to be doing on ourselves right now. We don't have time to be worried about, who is at it, who is fighting who, whatever's going on with everybody else. We really need to be observing. I'd have a set meeting time. Mine is Sunday at 6 a.m. because that's the 6 o'clock hour. And if I wake up late, I do it whenever I wake up. I don't stress about it. I'm trying to make my life as stress-free as possible, because when the brothers or whoever comes to scan our bodies to see if our auras, our spheres are clear, how clear can your sphere be is if you are if you're stressed out about all this stuff, like more so than food or anything else. You got to be stress free. You have to be gliding through life. That's the easiest way, it seemed to me, to clear out your aura, is to be gliding through life. If your aura is all messed up or your spheres are all messed up because you're stressed about every little thing, I mean, what good is eating raw vegetables going to do for you? I mean, your spheres are still going to be messed up. The number one thing that the daughters of Zion need to get rid of is the stress. If we don't get rid of the stress, it doesn't matter. They'll come and scan you. You're not going to pass that way either. Because you're going to be stressed out. We have to de-stress. We should almost be like we're gliding, through life. We should glide with class and, with ease and with peace, and everywhere we go, it should just be rose petals and whatever strewn on the ground before us as we walk. That's how we're supposed to view it. If that is not happening currently, it's not for me, but it might be happening for someone. If it's not happening currently, you imagine that everywhere you walk, somebody is just throwing out those rose petals for you. So as you take every step, it's rose petals and fumigations and all of that stuff, right in front of you. That's how we're supposed to present ourselves. We don't have no worries. And me, I feel like as long as I'm on this energy that's coming in, I ain't worried about nothing. That's why I wanted to come and tell y'all whose timeline is it. Focus on the timeline. Everything else is a distraction from you getting in time with the timeline. Re-examine all the holidays, holy days. Re-examine all of them. Everyone that comes up. I did that video about Groundhog Day. Revisit that and just think about it. I mean, I'm not telling anybody to accept anything that I say. I'm just telling y'all what I'm going to do because I feel like that's the right thing to do. I don't want any unnecessary loss of life and no unnecessary pain and suffering. That's me. Other people, you know, it never stops. Stress kills. Exactly. We need peace. We need real peace, not just, oh, we're going to be at peace because it's, somebody else's problems now. That's not really peace. We need peace because we know that we're on the proper timeline. So what you can ask your angels, your whoever, the Most High, just help you to get on the proper timeline, help you to glide through life with grace, like one example Miss Tammy gave me was like Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. Ginger Rogers had the harder part because she had to do the whole routine backwards. I mean, Fred, all he had to do was, do his thing, but he was going forward. She was going backwards the whole time. That's what the Daughters of Zion get. We got to go backwards through this thing the whole time. All the way around, we're going backwards. We're not leading. The Most High, the Mother, they're leading the show. All we're doing is following, moving with their moves. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to move with their moves. I don't want to be moving against their moves. We're going to be fumbling all over each other. Let's just move with their moves. If they're saying, okay, next month is going to be a lot of dark to light energy, okay, it's going to be a lot of dark to light energy. Going to be a heavy on pulling, using your magic month, kind of stepping back and letting the men do their thing because the magician is a male energy card. The Most High is going to come through and do his thing. That's what I'm looking for, in high heels. Not only was Ginger Rogers doing these moves, she was doing them in high heels, going backwards, all across the floor, through. I couldn't do it. I mean, the thought of it is like, whoa, I always want to take ballroom dancing, and I was like, there's no way. That's how we have to be. That's what we have to do. You know what I mean? And so this is kind of like an encouragement for myself and for everybody, for us to let's just get into sync with, with the universe, with the cosmic clock. And, whatever we can do to kind of take on that cosmic clock energy, that's what we want to do. And when stuff comes up, we just don't push against it. Sometimes you have to let the Most High push you, shalom, shalom, in the direction that you're going, because it is a juggling game. I mean, it's a lot going on, and it's so much going on, and it's in the cards. You know what I mean? And if you're pushing against everything that's happening, then you're not able to, really get the feel for it. And so We have so much work to do on ourselves. We just really don't have time to be worried about everything else. Do what makes you feel comfortable. Um, you know, take it easy. And let the Most High and the Mother, push you in your high heels and your long dress, all around the room. Because it's not about you. You gave your life to the Most High and to the Mother to do what they was gonna do. That's what you did. You can't go back on that. So you gotta let them lead the show. And don't get one day at a time, step by step. Exactly. And like I always say, when I feel like things aren't going, look, y'all gonna have to do something about this because I don't get it. Right. Y'all gonna have to do something about this. I don't get it. I don't like this. With a smile on her face, we should be joyful. I try to come on here and I have my music. Like I kind of come on here with as much joy as I can because I know joy is contagious. And they say that bad energy is more powerful than good energy. But why do they say that? They don't have good energy. So they wouldn't know if bad energy is more powerful than good energy. I think all the good things that we have been doing is way more powerful than what they've been doing because look at how sloppy they are with all of their stuff. I mean, not to get into the politics and all of that, but look how sloppy all of their rituals are. They're so sloppy. I mean, they used to be like, you couldn't see them. Now everybody can see everything. Their skirt is all the way over their face. That's how high up it's lifted. It's sloppy. So if evil energy is more powerful than good energy, that would mean our 40-day fast all the way back during Leo season should have failed. Because technically they had their evil stuff that they was working at that same time, and all we was a group of maybe a couple hundred people doing a fast. So whose energy really is stronger? I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, just because they say that evil energy is stronger or more powerful than positive energy doesn't mean it's true. And I don't believe it. Just our little small group that did our 22-day fast, people started falling over themselves, acting crazy. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, you got to look at this whole thing. You can't just accept what they say. Their drawers is being ripped off right in front of us. They oh, Sister Tammy, I'm not gonna say it. Somebody, their shadow is butt naked, dancing, doing the moonwalk. I mean, it's a lot of folks out here with butt naked shadows doing the moonwalk all around in front of us. This is something to watch. It is something of amazement, really. And so, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy what's going on now. I mean, and we can expect more of that. We haven't even gotten into Aquarius season yet, and people is already, butt naked doing the moonwalk with their shadows. Imagine what's going to happen when we get into this dark to light energy in Aquarius, where it's going to be everything that was done under the moon is going to come out into the sun. God dang, it's going to be by magic. They have no control over that. It's going to be out of their control what happens. I mean, yeah, we did so that 22-day fast was like one of the hardest. That 22-day fast was one of the hardest fasts that everybody said it was the hardest fast they've ever done. That was positive energy. We weren't putting out negative energy. We just wanted, like I said, the 2/3 had to go and to assist, that Saturnian energy to do its thing, to bring that justice. You know what I mean? And they did. They hanged themselves. All we did was ask, And so the positive energy is just as strong or stronger than the negative energy when we're on the same page, when we're flowing with the flow of the universe. And that's what we want to do. We want to take the emphasis off of self and put it into the flow of the universe. And so we can just naturally go with the ebb and flow. We don't have to be all it's just unnecessary, and it's not helpful. You know, we really we will really do better if we keep our energy light and we keep our energy positive. And hopefully Mimsa will do a video about keeping our spheres light and positive. That would be helpful. That's my request. uh that's my request. We need it, man. We need some positive, more positive vibes, and I'm going to keep, trying to be as positive and as helpful as I can. Oh, and the last thing I want to say is that there will be times when we have to do operations and stuff like that, and it's kind of like top secret and all of that, but I'm going to tell you what's going on. I'm going to warn you, this is what's going on. This is what I see on the horizon. I'm going to make the call. I'm going to be give as much information as I can. But this is a battle, you know what I mean? And everybody's job is different. I am, like a mouthpiece, and so my job is to get out and call the plays. And when the spirit tells me to call the play, I'm gonna call the play. And it's not, no offense to anybody else or anything else. It's just I have to call the plays as they're given to me. And I have to ring the alarm. So I don't want anybody to take it as a personal thing. It's like we gotta shake the sheets sometime. Yeah, we need some positive. We gotta shake the sheets sometime, see what's going on amongst the people, and try and get the information out the best way that we can, using the techniques and the skills that we can. And I am one who uses these internet ley lines, very, very, very strategically, which is why I tried to get on here and bring some positivity and refocus us onto our timeline. And so as my, whatever it is, I just share what's necessary, because the other thing about it is, even when I know something spiritually about something, it's better to let the universe do the revealing. I don't have to reveal what I know unless I'm told to do so, you know? Yeah, I don't have to reveal what I know. I can let the universe do. The universe does not need my help. The mother, woo, she don't need my help to reveal nobody. People reveal them own selves real quick, with the quickness. And so I would much rather let the mother do her job and let me stay out of her way. You know what I mean? And that's just my thing. I don't like to step on nobody's toes. I'm not going to go over what anybody is doing. All I'm going to say is, when I have to call to play and when I have to call out whoever it has to be called out, it's going to be with as much gentleness and love and kindness as I can do, because that's my personality. That's the personality that the mother gave me. That's not my personality. My personality is to be far more aggressive. That's the personality that the mother gave me, to be kind and gentle and to work with people where they are. That's the spirit she put on me. And I'm not going to go against that. I'm going to try and be as nice about it as I can, because you could call somebody out without, just creating a bunch of drama around it, a bunch of stuff. And hey, but that's just me. That could be somebody else's job. Somebody do have to come through with a sword. I'm just not a sword person. Like, my thing is cups, and so like I'm a cups person. I'm gonna pour that love onto you. Again, Operation Elvira is a full effect, like forever. Like, I'm gonna love you and squeeze you and hug you to pieces. That's way more effective for me, because I'm a cups person. I'm an energy. I pour out energy. But we do have some sword people in the midst. And the sword people and the stick people, y'all gonna take people, y'all gonna slice them up. You know what I mean? That's just not me. That's just not me. That's not in my cards. I do things a little bit differently, and I approach things from a point of innocence, because I'm an innocent person, and I assume that other people are innocent, even when I know that they're not innocent. I'm gonna give them the shadow of the doubt and let the Most High do the judging. I don't have to judge nobody. I can judge, and when I come to a conclusion, the conclusion is made. But I don't have to be. I'm not gonna be public about it unless it's absolutely necessary, and the mother's gonna have to like push it, because I'm just not going to do that. But I'm not talking. I'm not speaking against anybody who does, because everybody's job is different. I just know what my job is. My job is to, we're gonna, protect mother hen as much people as we can, instead of, that's just what we do over here. Because we want people to be comfortable, and because my channel is not really for Gentiles. It's just not, it's for our people, our people on our same vibration. It's not really for other people, so there's no need to address nobody else, you know what I mean? And I'm not, any Gentiles that come over here, hey, you know yeah, I'm also getting tired. We're almost done. But okay, so I just want to point all that out, especially about the operations. I don't know when they come up, it's going to be like a last minute thing, but I will sound the war cry, just like I did the last time, and tell everybody, look, it's a play, some stuff that's going on, some energy that's coming in that needs to be addressed, and we'll address it like that, and we're going to keep it high vibrations over here, because the idea is to go on the first call, not the second call, which Sister Tammy remind me. We want to go when they come and grab the first group. We want to go in the first group, unless the Most High really needs me to stay for the second group. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But we want to go in the first group. We want to go. We want to go in the first group. We don't want to. We don't want to be left here to see, to witness all that stuff, unless that's what the Most High has for us to do. And so that's how I'm looking at it. I want to be ready. You want to be really ready. So I definitely suggest everybody decide on how they want to do their fast. I'm still looking at dates. I know that I'm not going to start my fast until February 3rd, because Imbolc, which is the first festival of lights the second festival of lights for the year. Yeah, it's the second festival of lights for the year. That's on Groundhog Day. And so that's a feast day. So I'm not going to start my fast until after the feast day. Um, and I'm not sure what the last date is going to be. I think I'm going to end my fast on the day of equal parts, which is not the first day of the year, which is St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, 2-2. So I'm going to start my fast on the 3rd. And I think I'm going to end my fast on St. Patrick's Day, because that day of equal parts, March the 14th, no, 15th and 16th, that's really one day. So I think I'm going to do a dry fast that day, and then I'll break my fast on St. Patrick's Day, which would make sense with the whole green beer and all the stuff that they eat, that maybe that's what they did. So I'm thinking about that. I will let everybody know for sure what I plan on doing and why. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be starting on, I'm going to have a feast. Now, I am going to do a feast day on the 2nd, because the whole thing about that, if you listen to the video, is that Groundhog Day, that Imbolc, is the day that the feast would have been at the temple of the priest, that Mary did for forgiveness of her sins. And also, that was a day that Yahushua would have been presented at the temple. So I'm going to do my feast day on that day, and then after that I'm going to start my fast, and then I'm going to do a dry day, the long day, which is the day that the Most High stopped the sun from moving, so that battle could be won, and start my and have a feast day on the first day of our year, which is supposed to be St. Patrick's Day. I'm fairly certain that's what I'm going to do. I don't know exactly what my fast is going to be yet. I think I'm going to do sun up to sundown plus no meat again. Um, but I may do something a little bit harder than that, which I think that's hard enough, but I think it's going to be at least that. So, be thinking about what you want your covenant to be, and why you're doing it. Again, that time, uh, it's just, especially with the energy that's coming in, the fast is more so about, what's been done in the dark to be brought to the light, because that's the time that is covering. It's the dark to light time. And so that's really what I'm be looking for, the things that are done in the dark to be brought to the light. And that's what I'm really looking for. And in the meantime, I want to keep my energy high. So, and we want to support our brothers and sisters in the nation, because that's important too. Everybody, doesn't know as much. There's a lot of, I call them spiritual children, and we don't want to be harsh to the children. I don't think that's right. So that's how I'm carrying myself. That's how I'm doing what I'm doing. So hope everybody had a great time. Hopefully we'll do this again on next Wednesday, which Wednesdays are my days. So I'm going to try and work this into my schedule so that we can talk some more about this time thing and getting on the right calendar and all of that. So, to the spirits who are here with us, you're invited to go in peace. To my beloved viewers, you're invited to be at peace. And always remember, the Most High is your peace. Shalom.